The offseason is typically the time of the year that people get really, really bored and start speculating some crazy things in the world of professional sports. It happens in every league, for every team, and every player, no matter what sport it is. But this might be the craziest thing I've seen about the Leafs this summer. What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. It's been a little bit of time since we've put out a video. That's obviously because not too much is going on in the world of the NHL, let alone with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we're not just throwing out videos for the sake of throwing out videos, but this thing did pop up on my feed the other day, and I thought, I have to make a video about this because it was too absurd to not address it. But before I get into all of that, huge news here on the Leafs Digest channel. Today's video is brought to you by rentals.ca. Rentals.ca is Canada's largest apartment hunting network. You can rent apartments, houses, and condos across the entire country from coast to coast. There's a bunch of cities that they've got here. Pulling up on screen. Anywhere in Canada that you're trying to get to, make sure to head over to rentals.ca. If you're looking at this video right now, you're seeing me sitting here. You know me from my videos from before. You know this isn't the usual setup that I've had, and you're probably looking around saying, wow, it's pretty empty in there. And yes, it is. That's because I myself have just moved, found myself a new location, and rentals.ca was pretty important to my own apartment hunting journey. So make sure to head on over to rentals.ca. Their website is clean and easy to use, easy to navigate. Make sure to go over, click the link in the description of this video if you yourself are looking for houses, apartments, and condos to rent anywhere across Canada. Rentals.ca is the place for you to go and do so. Click the link in the description, and thank you to them for sponsoring this episode here today. So let's get into the rumors. Let's talk about what this is all about, and I want to hear everybody's thoughts on it after. So when you guys go to do that, you can let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe here to this channel as you're going to go and do that. Comment, let me know your thoughts. I'm interested to hear what those out there, especially the Habs fans, think about this one. So let's get into it. First and foremost, the big news, the entire purpose of this video, are the Montreal Canadiens targeting William Nylander. Look, there's not really any reason for us to sit here and think that any type of trade could be coming down. If the Leafs are going to move on from William Nylander, it's not going to happen to the Montreal Canadiens via a trade. If anything comes up, it's going to be a trade likely to a team somewhere farther away where you're not going to have to face William Nylander very frequently throughout the course of a regular season, or possibly have to face him in a playoffs every single year because he's in the East going to be competing against you. So that's obviously somewhere where you'd want to keep him away in Montreal in a trade there. Also, I look at the players that they have there. I don't necessarily know that Toronto is going to be targeting any of those players in the near future. And the reason that I say that isn't because they don't have good players or players that would be valuable in a return for William Nylander. It's more, who are you getting back from Montreal who's helping you be a better team than where you're at with William Nylander right now? Who on Montreal are you acquiring for William Nylander and your team is getting better? I don't think that person's really out there, or those people are really out there, so I don't see this trade being something that's going to be very imminent for the William Nylander William Nylander situation or resolution here over the next little while. Now, basically where this comes from is Arpon Basu from The Athletic. He is a Montreal Canadiens reporter, and he posted an article the other day where he said this: if the Canadiens decided it was time to get active in free agency, they would target a forward. They would make a serious run at William Nylander if he makes it to market. Then he goes on to say this: Nylander will cost at least $10 million a year on a long-term deal, one that would take him into his mid-30s. There's definite risk there, but players like him rarely make it to market. So we'll break this down as two different pieces. First of all, let's actually talk about the last thing that he said there, because there's not too much to talk about with it. Long-term deal, $10 million plus. We all knew that. Every single person sitting here in Toronto has known that, and actually realistically probably every single fan of the NHL or across North America has known that if William Nylander is going to sign any type of long-term deal, he's looking for $10 million plus, because that has been every single thing that's been reported about him and what his camp are looking for on his next contract. They are willing to take a long-term deal, but it's got to be $10 million plus. Obviously, you're looking around the corner a little bit here and you're kind of saying, hey, we know that the salary cap's going to go up. We know we're going to have to deal with this. Let's lock in that little bit more money and play to the hands of what the NHL is going to give us and give this team here, because we're going to have that money available. These teams are going to have that money available. Let's not just take less money now based on what the cap is right now when his deal won't even start kicking in for another year at this point. So that makes sense. This is not anything new. This is not anything at all that we haven't heard. But here's the second part that I'm going to go into in this. When he's talking about the risk, yes, there's obviously risk here, but players like him rarely make it to market, and then you're kind of talking about how this is going to take him into his mid-30s. This is what NHL deals are nowadays. This is very, very common. This is not the NBA where they're signing 1, 2, 3-year deals or player options and stuff like that. It's just not the landscape of the NHL. And for him to be sitting there looking at a long-term deal or trying to secure a long-term deal, you're going to have to be well prepared that you're going to take this player on into their mid-30s. It is what it is. There's no way around that. Now, the piece that I didn't fully understand at first, when he's sitting here saying if the Canadiens decided it was time to get active in free agency, they would target a forward, make a serious run at William Nylander if he makes it to market. Why wouldn't you? Why would they not? So I kind of felt like this was a little bit more of a fluff thing, kind of trying to get some clicks out there. You see William Nylander's name, you know that he's going to be drawing some attention from people in Toronto. You put it in an article, and then you suggest he might go play for the Montreal Canadiens. Well, guess what? People in Toronto, they're going to start to get all up in their feels over this, not be too happy, and they're going to be clicking on your article, potentially buying your articles over at The Athletic. So, I mean, bravo. Arpon Basu over there for that marketing tactic, but I don't think there's much to this. Now, the final thing is, I'm going to tell you, look, you guys have been following along here on the Leafs Digest channel. Well, we've built up a community of creators who are covering all different teams across NBA, MLB, as well as the NHL here. And our friends over at the Habs Digest, well, they fired out a video themselves the other day. So, they were talking about the potential of William Nylander becoming a future Montreal Canadien, saying how this would change everything for Montreal. Look, it would. You got to go and watch their video after you see this one. Click on the link there. But I got to be honest, some of the stuff I was hearing Josh talk about in that video, I'm going to say myself, I've got no problem with sticking up for my thoughts on this. The idea that they were throwing out there that this would be a risky move for the Montreal Canadiens to sign him through to his mid-30s, I don't see how this is a negative at all. Their GM is over there trading for Jeff Petrie at this point in time, bringing him back to the team. I don't see how you could sit and look at William Nylander and say that you wouldn't want that guy on your team until mid-30s. That's the reality. I don't get it. I'm reading through comments. Habs fans are over there talking on the video about how this would be incredible. Some of them are saying he's overpaid. Some of them, I don't think people truly realize what type of player William Nylander is until you watch him in an 82-game schedule. You watch him every single night. You hear about it on Twitter like, oh, this guy's lazy, or you see a clip of him doing one thing. Yes, those happen. That's what you get with William Nylander. But he also put up 40 goals, 47 assists last year. He put up an 87-point season. Like, this guy is a talent who will significantly change your team for the better. And I think it would be ridiculous to sit there and say, hey, yeah, we wouldn't sign this guy to a long-term deal. I get, yes, there's inherent risk with signing anybody to any type of long-term deal, but I think in some of these spots, you just have to accept it because the level of play that he's still at right now is worthwhile. So, as far as things go with the William Nylander front, I cannot see him going to the Montreal Canadiens. I personally would put a very, very, very small percentage on it, but for those of you watching right now, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. So while you're out there liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications here on this channel, make sure to drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on what you think William Nylander will demand in the open market. Should the Leafs trade him? Should they let him walk at the end? Should they re-sign him? I want to hear all of it. And I also want to know, what are your thoughts on William Nylander potentially ending up as a Montreal Canadien? Leafs fans, thanks guys for tuning in. I do appreciate the support. Keep believing.